you know what? I think I'm ready for something a little bit different, right? And I guess for me, what I reflected on, I talked to a lot of friends and family members and thought about this. And really over the 20 years, I mean, Acuity is and will be like my greatest professional achievement. I know it. It just will be. I loved it. It was fantastic. I'm so grateful for it. And so in some sense, like I wasn't walking away because I was tired of it or frustrated. But what happened to me is over the years, I became more of an entrepreneur. Like it probably surprises some team members at Acuity that I actually was an accountant at one point. But I realized I'm like, I'm just not an accountant anymore. And so I was really craving to be able to stay in the space and do something a little bit different. And what I realized is like, you know what? What to be fair to these, I don't even think of them as buyers, these people who are coming to look at us. These are partners. These are who my new partners are going to be. And partners mean the world to me. I think every partner I've ever had, I've always known this about me, and I expect the same out of them, is I want to live up to their expectations so badly. And I thought, I don't want to walk into a situation where I've given these new partners a different expectation of where I'm going to be just in it with them for next 10 years. I'm like, there's a bunch of these other interesting things I want to go explore. And so it felt more fair to me to say, hey, I would like to kind of step out. I want to be as helpful as I can during the transaction, during a transition, as an advisor, whatever I could be. But I think I've done as much operating and running of a firm that I want to. I can check that off after 2 decades. It felt like I was kind of entitled to do that. I was like, okay, let's do that.
And I was like, that's valid.
Actually, he's been kind of doing that.
I was like, it's a little bit, it's about a year late, but like, hey, that's okay.
He's already been prepping for this poll. But you're right. It was a very good point. And I remember.
But we were heading down a totally different path before that.
And do you
it was
remember,
crazy, right?
What I remember about that was it was interesting in terms of how much it switched our. So getting back to management presentations, right? All this is fairly abstract at this point. It's all happening between the bankers and these other third parties.
Yeah, these,
now all of a sudden
these 250 people are talking to the bankers. Nobody's talked to us at this
now you're
point.
like, all right,
like none of them.
Now you're going
It's
to
crazy.
visit and you're going to spend close to a full day with them, and oftentimes a dinner the night before or something. It's a lot. You're really hands-on with them. And so now you're like thinking, oh, I've got to get prepared for this. And so we made a very big shift to where
we were ready for presentations.
Yeah.
Like Kenji had prepared to like lead the presentation. I knew when I was chiming in, Lisa knew when she was chiming in, Patty knew when she was chiming in. And then and Kenji's like, Kenji's like, I'm out. And I'm like, I'm fucked. I have like 3 days to totally rewrite the whole presentation because I've got to lead the presentation because if he's leading the presentation right before
So we realized I couldn't go in.
We were friends for a little bit after this.
It was very weird, but a pressure test, this whole thing. And so it basically was like, we had to kind of rip that Band-Aid off and let them know that, hey, as the founder, CEO, I want to stay here and help and be advising. But like, also, I'm not going to present in these meetings to the same extent. I did present somewhat, but Matthew really took the lead on this. And so we made sure that they could see Matthew's leadership ability. Because that's one of the challenges, I think it was the founder, is everyone kind of looks to founder and CEO and title. And no one quite understands, unless you're a crazy person who watches this podcast or you work inside of Acuity and know that we've always co-led. From day one, we've always co-led. But these other people come in, they don't know that. And so we needed to make sure they knew that Matthew was leading. So I was relatively quiet in those meetings, had to step back. And then also mention them like, hey, here's the plan. So that was before those management meetings, you need to be very, very clear on what it is you want to do. Like, what do you want to do?
Together, for your employees, and individually.
What do you want to do?
Like, that's just not, and that was, I don't know why that wasn't intuitive, but it was not intuitive.
Not intuitive. So those management meetings are something else. And also, you're doing all this still, like, behind the backs of your team members. Stop. The worst. How are you supposed to have 7 full day meetings? I'm sure.
Yeah.
And like, you're just, all the leaders are out. It's just very difficult. It's very challenging,
Well, I
emotionally
mean,
draining and tiring. It's a
yeah,
lot.
that's a whole other conversation about like how to tell the team and why not to tell the team and why to tell the team. And that's a whole other philosophy around like creating chaos out of something that's potential and not known. And that's a whole other conversation.
But again, it's a
Maybe part of this conversation because there's tequila after the rum, I
oh, there
think.
is,
So
there
like
is.
I might have to pause the recording to go get more ice, but that's all right.
That's okay. Or we just do shots of tequila. That's okay. Probably should not with the good bottle we've got here. Um, but yeah, management meetings. I mean, so far what we've done is like you built this huge data room. Every bit of data you can think of on your firm,
It's
you
like
wouldn't even think of.
4 or 5 years of data.
You built this
Like,
huge 100-page document all about your firm.
what was the
You sent it out.
65?
I round up. It's massive. It's big. Small print.
And you have this management presentation now that's equally
Full of it.
large. Like that's
That's
gonna
huge.
guide a conversation for 4.5, 5 hours. Um, so that's where we are,
That's where you are.
right?
I mean, you get through that, right? Then you've got
And then you go meet everybody. Who everybody you meet is lovely. It's just awful.
yeah, I will say, yeah, that's a great point. So
It's
these
like you meet
meetings,
these 7 groups
think about
of
the
people.
biggest pitch you've ever made in your life, presentation, session you've led,
And the
class part.
people on the other side of the table that you've picked to come there, like you've already called out people you don't want to talk to. So you've only brought in people you do want to talk to. And these are people from people you've respected like your entire career to people that you've seen on paper, like should have you should have been tracking your entire career.
These are smart people
These are smart people.
interested
These
in the same things that we are. Like, how do we make?
like speaking and having intelligent like
I think this is great.
it's like a 4 to 6 hour conversation with the smartest people that you've ever met in the industry.
Who care about similar things that you do, right?
7 days in a row.
It's just
7 out of 10.
so you're exhausted because you're just pouring everything out, and then
And it's emotional, right?
and then you realize like, oh yeah, we're trying to get some kind of deal done here, and so you get through all that, and there's a little bit of a break. But coming out of the management meetings, we've already had the LOIs. Now you go to the LOI, the letter of intent stage. So after all of this, you've met, and all those seven are
Who are like, peace out.
are allowed to say, hey, here's now that you've all met, go ahead and issue the LOI. And
This is where shit gets real.
it gets real. It gets real here. And so you get the LOIs and you kind of find out. It's interesting because you feel like, did they just like us in the meeting? Do they not
Right.
like us in the meeting? But also you've also learned a few things about them. I mean, it's most I would say about in the meeting, it's probably feels like it's about 90% about us and then about
10%.
10% about them. Some of the targets are much better about really coming and like really showing you here's who we are, here's what we do, here's what we integrate. Others are much more about like tell us all about you. But you want to get a little bit of some back and forth, but it is largely balanced on you sharing all the information about your firm. And so, but we go back and then it's their turn to go back and make that kind of final offer. They say final offer, right? And then the LOIs come.
Then the
That's
come.
about a couple
And
weeks, 2 weeks.
oh man, it felt like forever.
Felt like forever.
Like two, and then two in our situation, 2 people opted out, which is normal, and then 5 opted in and wanted to come down. And then this is where the bankers take over, right? They start negotiating. And one of the most valuable things for us was like everybody talks about like what the number is, right? Like that you're going to get, but deal structure matters like more disproportionately to anything that I expected in this. And deal structure, what I mean by that is like if you have to earn out, if you have to seller note, if it's all equity, if it's part cash, like all those components, like we really didn't know going in. Like like all we knew was, all seller note stuff that we had done historically, all like equity for equity stuff that we had done historically. So we didn't really know what the options were. So getting 5 groups to say, like, here it is, point blank, this is what the requirements are, and understanding what earnouts were for real, what cash portion was for real, what equity portion, what rollover is from real, what revesting looked like if you had to revest. Some of the people made you revest, some people didn't make you revest. and all these things, and then being able to have the bankers go back to each of the parties and say, hey, look, our team likes this structure better. So they went back to everybody and said, this is this preferred structure. And the preferred structure ended up being for us more important than the number that people say. Like creating some flexibility for, Patty, for you to be able to leave earlier than you would have normally. Like that flexibility was not universal in those five. So like the five were just really interesting from my perspective. And like getting to, because you think like you're going to go through and you're just going to pick the highest number, and we didn't.
No.
So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's an interesting. Yeah, it is crazy. Like you get to that, and
because your team comes into the like who's the culture fit, like are you
after
gonna have to integrate, like
after you meet with
the people,
then you get a sense of, okay, where our team and our clients can be best served. Then you can get a sense, you start to get a sense of culture with them. And that was hugely important to us, as it would be for anybody, I would hope, right? If you're
anybody that listens to this Yahoo stuff.
Yeah, is the culture is going to be very important. What's going to happen with the team? Because we were fortunate, to your point, of where as his partners, we had some optionality of where who's going to be in, who's going to be out, who's going to be kind of on the side kind of work there. And they gave that there, but also how are the team and the clients going to be served? And so we were looking for something for us that, from a team perspective, where we think that what we built and what the team poured into to help create this culture was unique. And we wanted it to persist in some way. And so when you look at some of these deals, some of them are actually really comforting in terms of very clear integration structure. And that's nice sometimes because the integration is hard. We'll talk a little bit about that after we get through diligence here, and we'll probably have for some more drinks. But
diligence is like, give me more drinks.
But you're looking for a place to where we were looking for a place to where our team could go in and take the culture that we built at Acuity and share that amongst the other firms. But there are some firms that go, hey, you're going to come in here and follow our way. And that may sound like, oh, terrible, like awful. But those are also the firms that go, hey, we've been successful. We've built something really unique here too. And we have a very clear path to integrate and onboard you. And so there's a give and take there, I think, of where you can look at that and go,
yeah, there was some
I hate losing our culture, but also I love having very clear. Some of these firms were so amazing in terms of like almost to the day. They could tell you exactly on the 37th day of integration, here's exactly what was going to be happening. And that's actually a very assuring or reassuring to your team sometimes. Yet
doesn't really sound like us, does it?
It does sound very Acuity is like, how about we do things what we want our own way and let us try it out?
How about we do things the most difficult way possible, even because we think it'll have the highest outcome?
But seeing all those in one space and getting to make that decision, like that's what gave us the confidence to say we knew that we could make a good decision on behalf of all of our team, is that we could see all those possibilities. So we chose one that was much more of a, all right, bring it together. You guys are going to have to help lead the integration. But also that was appealing to us because we kind of felt like we had some things to say about the CAS space in particular, about culture, about the way firms were going in the future. And we were super excited about that. So that massively influenced our decision too. So Matthew told you at the jump who we went with, Soren, because of a number of different reasons there. And we are super, super pumped. I couldn't be happier. But we didn't get all the way there. We had to get through diligence first. Now time for tequila for diligence.
Man, I think so. Like here, let's finish the rum.
So Matthew, while I'm pouring us some tequila,
yeah,
do you want to tell us a little bit about just talk through diligence? What's that like?
Why could sum diligence up in a really simple statement?
Look at this good tequila about to come out. Plaza Azul.
That's a pretty good one.
I thought you opened this one already.
A really good friend of mine gave that to me for my 50th birthday, and I haven't cracked it yet. So when you get a diligence list, I'm convinced that it would be easier if they just said, give me everything anybody at your company has signed since inception. Like, I'm convinced that would have been easier from that perspective. I don't think there's a good way to do diligence. We luckily had a great um, a guy named Manish that works with us now, or works with me now on the other side, that was helping me on the other side, in addition to our bankers on our side, kind of go through the process and understand what all the diligence look like. But that looked like, from our perspective, CBIZ going in on top of Bennett Thrasher and doing another quality of earnings. Um, Ice Miller on their side going through and digging through every legal document that we ever had. Thank God Brian Gordon was our attorney. Um, and and we had an equivalent kind of level of lawyer on our side. I don't know how we would have gotten through it without BG, like on that side. But cheers to BG.
BG.
Brian Gordon.
Cheers. The man.
Is that time for a segue right now? Because like I think I underestimated the importance of the bankers and the lawyer.
Bankers and lawyer.
In the transaction.
We hit all of them, right? Bankers, lawyers, accountants on the QE. Like it's a
yeah, we had all the three with Bennett guys. And but like from an emotional perspective for me, like just understanding in diligence, when we start turning documents, what they call it turning documents, is they send us this horrific, like, sign your life over document. Having somebody on the legal side being able to say, this is, I get this is your life work, but like this is a typical condition in a deal of this size. Or this is not appropriate for a deal this size. Let's push back on that. Like having those people in your corner at this time when you're going through like partner changes, like all the emotional things that you're going through ancillary to it, like considering not being business partners going forward, considering kind of a huge financial transaction. You've got 125 employees that you're worried about. Having somebody on the legal side say, hey, these are typical conditions. These make sense. These are the things where you need to get clarification. These are the things where you need to push back. Like having those people in your corner, like that made the difference for me getting through that 90 days.
Yeah, I think really well. Nothing is Bennett Thrasher. The guys who did the QOV were fantastic. We have a bunch of friends over there, but that was a little bit more of a point in time, very early in the process.
Yeah, they were early.
Now, our bankers, our lawyers were there the whole way through, and they were the two that we were fortunate enough to have pre-existing relationships with. Both of which, actually, all three of which, punch way above our weight class. Like they're not. These are relationships that thankfully we had cultivated through a long time, that they were willing to work with us because they were probably have never worked with someone as small as us. But beyond that, we leaned on them for emotional support at times because it is emotion. It's very emotional. I don't know if, I mean, thinking back, I'd be curious to how many of our friends who watched this, or who've talked to us since, could go back and think through, like, when we were going through this, to go, I knew something was a little funky with you guys, because it was a very interesting time for us this past year.
Oh, for sure.
We had to be pretty quiet about things. I remember being at conferences, having to be really on the down low. We were in the
Well, if you think of, we started this in March, April of last year.
Yeah.
Like March of 24.
And closed it in January of 25.
Like,
and so we were in the middle of some of these. Remember, QuickBooks Connect was a big one. I remember
Matthew. Well, QuickBooks Connect, we're in diligence.
We're in diligence.
We're like signed. We're signed and in 90 days of diligence at that point.
If you've been to the ARIA, which every accountant has been to ARIA for either Engage or QuickBooks Connect or any other conference.
Digital CPA, QBC.
Yeah, I remember you and I pulling off the side of the pizza restaurant down there, like emotional, basically kind of in tears, like trying to figure things out. Like, how are we doing that? What's happening? I mean, we were trying to find 3 minutes of time just by ourselves to actually talk because,
Yeah.
we're there amongst all of our friends. And so it is a very emotional thing there. We're doing all this too around our team and doing our best to lead them through Acuity Con and big decisions at our firm and trying to keep our head straight to make sure that this process doesn't also sidetrack us from being the best leaders we could be at Acuity. And it is difficult. It is something that where people who go through this on a regular basis, I'm not quite sure how they do it. It is really,
It's a lot.
it's a lot. So I think Matthew's point is good. If you find great partners and help, whether it's legal counsel, whether it's bankers, and you use them for their expertise, but there's also other ways to utilize them too, of just emotional support, of just almost just saying,
Well,
not just of looking at reviewing this doc or does this valuation make sense, of like, what have you seen before? Am I thinking crazy? Am I just like, help me think through this? And there were some moments they walked us off a cliff in a pretty big way.
oh yeah, and I think like we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about our forums, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like your EO forum, my EO forum, my accounting forum, like these people that were on the inside that were helping us think through my EO forum. Luckily, we had three people that had been through similar transactions that understood like the emotions that go through that. Like I was able to ask questions that I wouldn't have asked otherwise because they had like some of them have gotten burned, some of them have not gotten burned, but watch other people gotten burned. Like, so like just having the right questions to ask some of the legal counsel and say, is this crazy in this space? Is this the same in accounting? That was really helpful.
Very helpful. I mean, it's very helpful having all that. I mean, because again, all this is
I know
happening.
your firm's a bunch of jokers. You don't care about yours as much as
No,
me.
I had one of my forum mates who actually sold his business using the exact same banker. So I'd already seen the process go through, and they're very helpful. Anyone you can get, because what's uncomfortable with this whole process is you have to keep it quiet. You have to keep it quiet from your team, which all of us are probably pretty
Which,
transparent.
which most of us is unnatural.
It's very unnatural because it's way too disruptive if they
I
do
don't
this
think
process.
that's that unique for us, but I think, I mean,
I don't think so.
it's
So finding others who've gone through this process before is incredibly helpful, whether that's as fellow accounting firm owners or whether it's other business owners. I'd say it was huge for us. Or again, your bankers or the professionals working with you who can advise you.
and just having people in your corner that have said like, look, I had one of these things die the day before the deal, right? Like just understanding that these things die.
They die. I mean, they're supposed to.
Well, and the best thing our bankers told me was like, this thing's gonna die three times.
It's gonna die
Like
three
it,
times for it. Yeah.
and it did.
Oh yeah, it died.
It died three times. Like this deal died three times. It died before we had people. It died in September. It died once, kind of like where we were like, oh, we're all walking away. You know, like you always have these times. Actually, it died twice, which is in our case. He said three times, but I think ours died twice.
Twice we were waiting for it to die in Diligence.
We thought
so Diligence.
We picked a good partner, so
we really did. I mean, I'll say we picked a great partner in the fact that Diligence was clean and easy, but also I think we did a lot of work to really prepare for. We really wanted to make sure that.
Well, we were the first one I think that they had bought, like of the 14 firms that had done the pre QOV. So they respected that we had taken this seriously.
And that's a great partner when they see that you took it seriously and we did. And so it went a little more smooth there. But just know that in most cases, when you get that LOI, that is non-binding. So I remember something the bankers told us as well too, that always stuck with me. And that's this, is that as a seller, you are in control the entire time, all the way through until you sign the LOI. Once you sign the LOI, it flips. All the power goes over to the buyer.
Because you're down to 1-on-1. Before there,
right.
It's 5-1, 7-1. It's whatever the bankers are
going to be exclusive LOIs. They're going to be exclusive for the most part.
90 days, and every other deal is dying in 90 days.
And most in Diligence, they can go back and find things and carve it up and knock down the multiples, and the valuation is going to go down during Diligence. So
it doesn't go up.
does not go up. You're not going, oh, we found this positive adjustment for you guys. You guys missed this and you're adjusted EBITDA. That's not going to happen.
That's not how it works.
So in those, it's very stressful because there's even more questions coming your way. And all you're thinking about is like trying to hold the line and you're just trying to find things to eat away at you. So you got to get through that and grind and go. And then you hopefully get to that moment, that day. But even then, in our deal, there were so many things happening. We weren't ever sure of what the exact close date was going to be. And
close date got moved like
and the second folks were trying too. They were trying
like
try to get
six times.
But
they were like doing other deals, and so like because the other deal got pushed back, so we got pushed back, and then the other deal got pushed back again, so we got pushed up, and then like I think it moved. Our close date moved. Like originally we were trying to close December 31st, like December, like for my 50th birthday. And then
right, like,
and then we were like, okay, the election happened and they're like, okay, we don't have to worry about cap gains tax anymore. Like it's going to be, it can slip into January. No big deal.
The hard part is we, and so we knew
it's funny because it's true.
It's true. But also we knew how this thing was going well because the whole way through everything from first meeting, kind of our new partners before we knew they were partners in our management meetings, all the way through, we treated fairly with respect. And that should tell you a lot about the person, the people you're going to partner with, is how they work with you through all this very tumultuous process that you hear about. And so the Soren team, Mike and Josh and all the team and the nation, everyone there were great the whole way through during all these ups and downs. Always wanted to talk things through. But when you get near the end and the date keeps changing, you kind of look at he and I in the background going, is something up? Is it going to fall apart? Are they going to screw us over? What's happening? You kind of get this and in our case, no, everything worked out just the way we had hoped and thought it would. But you can't help but think that after 20 years of just sacrifice and building your thing, you get nervous when it comes down to certain just individual moments. All of us can imagine that. And so we get there, and then when the deal happens, I don't mean to burst the bubble, but we should probably burst the bubble for people, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I was at physical therapy.
When you close the transaction.
I was like, can you go on the call?
So when you finally close your deal, it's the most anticlimactic thing of all time. And this is, something that.
And in remote world,
Mike at Soren had told us this. He's like, oh yeah, I'm thinking, no, this is going to be exciting. We're going to be a bunch of. It is not. You get on a call, and you've already authorized all the signatures.
Everybody signed everything. Everybody signed everything the day before, maybe 2 days before.
So once the deal's ready to go, all that happens, you get on a phone call, and
I wasn't there. I was at physical therapy. I literally I just am old. Like I'm dealing with my body right now.
Everybody deals with that's in your own time. Everybody deals with okay. All the attorneys go, hey, are we clear? Yeah, I'm clear. Are your attorney's clear? Yeah, they're clear. And they look at me and they go, Kenji, are you willing to release the signatures? I'm like, yeah. Like, okay, congratulations, we're done. I'm like, that's it? Like, do I have to do anything? Like, can I do a thumbs up emoji on the Zoom? Or how do you do the confetti thing? Confetti, the thumbs up,
confetti, or like,
you're like,
shouldn't there be balloons that come down from the ceiling?
Cool.
Nope.
You're like,
nothing.
You're like, we're done. So then I'm like, right away, I'm like saying,
they're like, congratulations,
Matthew.
Now go tell your team.
Like, Mike, okay, I think we're closed. And then actually you wait for the wire. Then you never text all the wire stuff. That all happens. But I promise you, when you close on your house, it's more dramatic. You're signing a lot more, and it's like, congratulations. I think this must be real estate attorneys trying to make it a bigger deal, whereas deal attorneys who are like, we can get this done way more efficiently.
We're on to the
next deal.
It was like a 3-minute call, evidently. So I called on the way back from physical therapy and make sure everything went okay.
2.5 minutes. We're asking.
Kenji, actually, you texted me. I was like, at least text me that it's done. Like nothing. Like text me that nobody said, no, we're out. Like we've watched your past podcast episodes and you're out. So that was kind of fun.
It was fun. So that got us to January the
16th.
16th.